Senator Hernandez, do you wish to take this up? Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1253 by Assemblymember Steinnorth, an act relating to optometry.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this bill will allow retired optometrists to receive a volunteer designation in their license so that they may offer free services at events such as public health fairs. This bill creates a clear pathway and timeline for retired optometrists attained as volunteer status, having the ability to volunteer. It's supported by the State Board of Optometry. The California Optometric Association has received unanimous bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to substituting a unanimous roll call? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 39, no 0. That measure passes. File item 122. File item 122. Senator Pavley, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1528 by the Committee on Water, Parks, and Wildlife, an act relating to public resources.
Yes,
Senator
thank
Pavley.
you very much. A pleasure for me to carry this on behalf of the Committee of Water, Parks, and Wildlife. It's a bill that makes technical code cleanup changes to update and correct the Public Resources Code and to remove obsolete provisions. In addition, the state has established and designated numerous official state emblems, including at least 15 different state-designated plants, animals, and minerals, such as the California redwood tree or the marine fish, the Garibaldi. This simply also adds the name lace lichen as the official state lichen. Ask for your aye vote on behalf of the Assembly Water, Parks, and Wildlife Committee.
Thank you, Senator Pavley. Is there any debate or discussion on this item? Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had a quick question.
Question of the author?
Please.
Would the author be willing to accept? It's not going to be as difficult as the decathlon question, I'm sure. Without objection, Senator Pavley?
Oh, without objection.
All right, Senator Morlock.
I was just curious, researching this over the weekend, why didn't the California Lichen Society make a big deal out of this on their website? It is silent. I just found that curious. I was just wondering why that was.
Well, I can't answer that. Maybe they were too busy watching the Women's World Cup U.S. team beat whomever just the other day. Yes, on victory. But we did have a wonderful letter from Shelley Benson, who's the president of the California Lichen Society, in support of this measure. Thank you so much, and I'll owe you one.
All right. Any further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, is there any objection to substituting a unanimous roll call? There is, I'm sorry. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Cannella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Galgioni. Gaines, aye. Galgioni, aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Aye. Huff. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Aye. Nielsen. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. No. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Anderson, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Bates. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Fuller. No. Huff. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Nielsen. Aye. Wolk.
Ayes 37, noes 2. That measure passes. Moving, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to file item 113. Senator Pan, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 991 by the Committee on Public Employees, Retirement, and Social Security, enacting to state teachers' retirement.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I'm pleased to present to you the AB 991, which is a technical housekeeping bill regarding the state teachers' retirement program. It makes various technical conforming or minor changes to the teachers' retirement law. The changes are non-controversial and not result in any program costs. This bill has received wide bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on this measure.
Thank you, sir. Any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Weso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk.
Please call the absent members.
Fuller. Aye. Mendoza. Aye.
All right. Ayes 39, no 0. The measure passes. File item 108. File item 108. Senator Runner, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 331 by Assemblymember Levine, enacting to school districts.
Senator Runner.
Thank you, Madam President and members. AB 333 would give small school boards the option to contract the size of their membership from 5 members to 3, and it has support on both sides. This ability is important in rural and very small districts, which can have a difficult time finding 5 community members able to serve on the board. Under current law, school district governing boards may be comprised of 3 to 7 members. While the size of boards may increase, there's no provision for restoring a board to 3 members if enrollment declines. This bill has the support of both sides, and I'd ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion on this item. Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had one question of the author.
Would you accept the question?
Yes.
Without objection.
I apologize. I don't know what happens when you have a 3-member board and how that relates to the Brown Act, because now you can't talk to anybody at all on your board off campus. So I'm just curious how that's resolved.
Right. There's very few districts who have under 300 students would be considered a small district. So I think there's only 200 school districts. They basically can't talk to each other until they're at the board meeting. And every board member basically has to be there when the board meets, or you don't even have a quorum. So that's how it would go. Thanks. So I'd ask for a vote.
Seeing no further debate, would you like to close, ma'am?
I'd ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any objections to the use of a unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 39, no 0, the measure passes. We're going to return to Senate third reading, file item 35. Senator Pan, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 35 by Senator Pan relative to Immigrant Heritage Month.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I rise to present Senate Resolution 35 to recognize June as Immigrant Heritage Month in California. Immigrant Heritage Month is a nationwide effort to gather and share inspirational stories of immigration in America. SR 35 celebrates California's immigrant heritage by acknowledging the stories of individuals, families, and communities who've contributed to the unique social fabric of our state and our nation. California is the heart and soul of a nation built by immigrants. We are a true testament to the strength, innovation, values, and leadership that our immigrants provide. California is home to the most immigrants out of any state, and we truly enjoy a melting pot that continues to be more diverse and influential in every sector, generation after generation. Our immigrants' diversity continues to fuel our greatness. In every sector of California, from education to health to business to government, our immigrants are leaders. Some of us in this chamber would not be here today if it were not for the sacrifice and hard work of our immigrant ancestors. California has taken the lead in this nationwide movement to thank and recognize our immigrants. Please join me in supporting SR 35 to recognize June as Immigrant Heritage Month in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. And colleagues, I also rise in support of this measure in my hat as the chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus. But before I do that, I know that you all noted that extraordinary group of young people who won the National Decathlon Championship came from all shapes and sizes and names of cultures that are represented in our great nation. And they represent the unique quilt of people who have come from all over the world to be and to bring their best and their finest to this nation. And I think as I look around too, many of us are either the children or the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren of immigrants. And these are people, when you think about it, people come to another country with a sense of daring and mission, because it would be easy to stay in a place where they're familiar, in many instances where they have family and where they could continue as they had for generations. And yet people come to this country because they believe it is here that if they work hard and they play by the rules and they do their best, they're going to have an opportunity to live the great American dream. And so I think that we have to recognize and should celebrate the fact that we are indeed a nation of immigrants, that we have brought people to this country on the promise of opportunity. And we have seen it all over, and certainly in our own families, I'm sure, but also with these extraordinary young people who are here today. So I want to then focus, if I can, on the role and contribution that women immigrants have made to strengthen our economy and enrich the character of our nation with their culture, hearing, and heritage and experiences. Now, this was an interesting fact that I wasn't aware of. Immigrant women, like most women, make significant sacrifices for their family. Only 13% of immigrant women work as professionals in the United States, even though 32% of them worked as such in their home countries. So these are professional women who come to this country, and only half of them actually work as professionals in this country because they put in the devotion into the well-being of their families ahead of their personal pride and their personal ambitions in choosing that journey to America. Immigrant women embrace citizenship and encourage integration. They are indeed the drivers in their families to naturalization. And let us not forget as well the increased risks that immigrant women face. They are more vulnerable to abuse at work and at home. They face barriers to adequate health care, and they are also susceptible to being victims of human and sex trafficking. So as we honor and celebrate our immigrant population, of which I think probably all of us are at some point members, let us not forget the challenges that are faced, and particularly by our women immigrants. With that, I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Jackson. Senator Hueso.
Thank you, Madam President and Senators. As Vice Chair of the Latino Legislative Caucus, I rise in support of Senate Resolution 35, which celebrates Immigrant Heritage Month. SR 35 is a reminder, and it's also a celebration of the important roles that immigrants play in our society and the grand impact they have on our great nation and our state. This is an educational effort. This is an effort to continue to educate America about the importance to immigrants and to prevent from misinformation becoming the excuse to lead anti-immigration campaigns to garner support against immigrants and vilify them and make them victims in our society. There's no need for that. And for that, we have to continue to rise and educate people about the important role that immigrants play and have always played and will probably always play in the future growth and prosperity of America. It's that diversity that leads to California's rich tapestry that has made our country and our state one of the most prosperous communities in the world. And that requires, our combined prosperity requires tolerance, it requires education, and it requires us embracing new ideas, new cultures, and new ways of doing things better in our community. And I want to thank the member for continuing this important campaign for California's benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Madam President. This topic has come up a few times, and so I had the privilege of talking to Jennifer Teasdale of Senator Nielsen's office, and she introduced me to this book, Legislators of California, and it provides a compilation of the legislators here in the state. It was compiled by Alexander C. Vassar, and it was issued March 2011. So if you have not had a chance to read this book, I would strongly encourage you to do it. But inside the book, it says 7% of California's legislators have come from 38 other countries, kingdoms, colonies, located in every continent except Africa and Antarctica. So there's a lot of good information in here, Senator. And as an immigrant myself, and the second to have been born in the Netherlands, I urge an aye vote for SR 35. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Block.
Thank you, Madam President. As chair of the Jewish Caucus, it's my pleasure to stand in support of SR 35. During the month of May, we celebrated the contributions, achievements, and sacrifices that Jewish Americans have made since they first arrived in New Amsterdam in 1654. Throughout our nation's history, immigrants have contributed to the strength of our nation and the preservation of our values. There are countless examples of immigrants who have played a vital role in defining the American experience. America will always be a beacon of hope for those who seek liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. During this month, individuals, families, and communities should share their inspirational stories and their reasons for immigrating to America. The first Jewish settlers came to this country seeking liberty and a place to practice their religion without discrimination or oppression. And immigration hasn't always been easy for the Jewish community. In the 1930s and 1940s, boats carrying Jews away from the horrors of Nazi Germany were turned away from our shores. As a result, Jewish American immigrants identify and connect with the current immigration and civil rights movements. Jewish Americans have marched in Selma and Montgomery, boarded buses for freedom rides, stood for farm workers' rights, and are always united in support of liberty and human dignity. America benefits from the energy and creativity of each new wave of immigrants. Our country has a rich and diverse heritage from around the world. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on this resolution.
Thank you. Senator Huff.
Thank you, Madam President and members. As I look around the room and not seeing any obvious Native Americans here, I think we all have a heritage that is based upon immigration. And some are current immigrants, as has been described. Some a generation moved many much further back, such as myself. But my wife is an immigrant from Taiwan. Many of you know her, came over as an adult to get a master's degree and achieve freedom over here. And I represent a district that's very diverse. As some of you have heard me say, the elementary school that my kids went to school in, over 55 languages and dialects spoken. Now that's diversity, but also one of the top academic powerhouses in the region. And I do believe immigration brings people, and sometimes escaping tyranny, but always coming to freedom, because they have many choices of where they can go, but they come here. So part of our job is not to ruin the thing that makes us so great, not just here in California, but the United States. But we certainly recognize the powerful influence of immigrants. And I must say that on Saturday, I had the privilege of going to a new entity, and it was a 4th of July celebration by some of the Chinese immigrants in my community. And I've got to tell you, it was very touching. hearing their personal stories and seeing a Chinese saxophone orchestra and a lot of other things that went along with that. They didn't have hot dogs. I suspect that will come next year. But they're following into not just keeping their traditions alive from where they came from, but integrating fully and appreciating the profound freedom that we have in our country. And it's a real privilege. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Senator Hall.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. As Vice Chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, I too rise in support of SR 35 and thank the author for bringing this resolution forward, which honors Immigration Heritage Month. Immigrant Heritage Month is a time to celebrate the diversity of our great nation and to appreciate the many contributions made to the United States by immigrants. Immigration is part of America's DNA. Yet it is no secret that our nation's immigration system is broken and has room, obviously, for improvement. For too long, some people have blamed immigrants for a range of problems. Their beliefs are obviously sadly based in fear, misunderstanding, and at some level racism towards others. Here in California, we do not allow fear and misunderstanding or racism to harm anyone who calls this great state home. We are a state of immigrants, and we are a nation of immigrants. We're stronger as a state and as a nation because of immigrant families from around the world who for generations have wanted to call United States and California their home. We will continue to work to bring immigrant communities out of the shadows. We'll continue to work to better integrate immigrants into the great fabric of our state. Our work, obviously, is far from done. California is leading the nation on immigration reform, and we have put together a package which I am proud to co-author to help immigrant families throughout the state of California, increasing access to health care, reforming our justice system, creating a cleaner environment for our children and our grandchildren, encouraging civic participation and fair representation. These are important steps to improve the lives of immigrants in California. We need to do all we can to continue keeping families together and to help those who want to contribute, those that want to build up this great nation, those who want to realize the American dream, that they are welcome and they are a necessary part of this great democracy. The only way we succeed as a state and as a nation is by working together. So I stand with you as we work together to recognize the human dignity of all people, regardless of where you come from or who you love and what language you speak. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much, Senator Hall. Senator Pan, would you like to close? I see no further mics up, no further debate.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate the unanimity of support and the testimony, and I want to thank all my colleagues. Some people may, hearing this, say, well, what's the concern? But I think even very recently, we've heard anti-immigrant rhetoric from, for example, Donald Trump, who has spouted unfortunate words about immigrants and blame on immigrants, and there are unfortunately sometimes others as well. And that's why it's important that we stand up together. I'm pleased to know that I think Univision and NBC have decided not to continue to sponsor some of his events, but we do need to join together, and that's why it's so important we do this here today, this resolution. And I would like to thank the API Legislative Caucus, the Legislative Black Caucus, the Latino Legislative Caucus, the Legislative Jewish Caucus, and the Legislative Women's Caucus for your support and for your contributions. And certainly personally, as a child of immigrants myself, I respectfully ask for an aye vote on Senate Resolution 35. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is adopted. Colleagues, at this point, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 301.
Is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call on the consent calendar? Seeing none, ayes 39, no 0. At this time, colleagues, the regular session will stand in recess, and the first extraordinary session will be convened. The prayer and the pledge will be deemed complete. Senator DeLeon, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Madam President. I respectfully ask for unanimous consent to take up Senate Resolution Number 1 without reference to file.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 1 by Senator DeLeon relative to the standing rules of the Senate for the 2015-16 first extraordinary session.
Senator Fuller, for what purpose do you rise?
We did not agree to a unanimous consent to this roll call. So if you just would like to vote on it, that would be fine.
Just do a roll call vote on.
Senator Fuller, I'm not clear what you're objecting to. Unanimous roll call for what?
We would like a roll call actual vote.
For SR1?
Yes.
For the measure or for the request to take up the bill? Because we hadn't
On the measure.
Okay, we hadn't gotten to the roll call on the measure yet. He'll be presenting the
Sorry, I
bill
was
now.
a little quick, thank you.
Not a problem. So once he presents the bill, I'm clear, it will go to roll call. Mr. Pro Tem, please present.
Thank you, Madam President, as well as colleagues. This resolution, SR1, establishes the committees for the first extraordinary session, the Rules Committee, the Appropriations, as well as the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Economic Development Committee. With that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion or debate on SR1? Any discussion or debate? Would you like to close, sir?
I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Cannella. DeLeon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Galgioni. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Huff. Jackson. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Nielsen. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Stone. Vidak. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Anderson, aye. Wesso, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Bates. Berryhill. Cannella. Fuller. Gaines. Huff. Jackson. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Nielsen. Runner. Stone. Vidak. Wolk.
Ayes 25, no 0. The resolution is adopted. At this time, the first extraordinary session will stand in recess, and the second extraordinary session will be convened. The prayer and the pledge will be deemed complete. Senator DeLeon, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Madam President. I request again unanimous consent to take up Senate Resolution Number 1 in the second extraordinary session without reference to file.
Is there any objection to unanimous consent to take up the resolution without reference to file?
That's just the one.
Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 1 by Senator DeLeon relative to the standing rules of the Senate for the 2015-16 second extraordinary session.
Senator DeLeon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, this resolution establishes the committees for the second extraordinary session, the Rules Committee, Appropriations Committee, as well as the Public Health and the Developmental Services Committee. With that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion or debate? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Cannella. DeLeon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Galgioni. I. Glazer. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Wisso. Huff. Jackson. Lada. I. Leno. I. Leva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. Mendoza. I. Mitchell. I. Monning. I. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Nilsson. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. Vidak. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Anderson, aye.
Call the absent members, please.
Bates. Berryhill. Cannella. Fuller. Gaines. Wesso. I. Huff. Jackson. McGuire. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Nilsson. Runner. Stone. Vidak. Wolk.
Ayes 24, no 0. The resolution is adopted. At this time, the second extraordinary session will stand in recess and will return to the regular session, or it will be reconvened. Returning to motions and resolutions, Senator Hill.
Purposes of announcements, Madam Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Two announcements. One, the Senate Business Professions and Economic Development Committee will be convening upon adjournment of this session in 3191. Second announcement is I read in the paper this morning that Senator Marty Block had a birthday yesterday. I'm not going to say what age it said he was, but he'll be getting this card in the mail very soon, so I don't know if that indicates it.
Thank you very much. Senator Fuller.
Are we ready for adjourned memories?
We are, ma'am. Proceed.
Okay, thank you. Last Friday, Bakersfield police officer David Nelson was tragically killed in the line of duty at the very young age of 26. Officer Nelson, a 2-year veteran of the Bakersfield Police Department, was taken too soon. Nelson was the first officer lost from the department in more than 31 years. Originally from Burbank, Officer Nelson worked as a cadet from 2008 to 2012. Nelson's fellow officers remember his hard work and dedication, including his involvement in the agency's drug take-back events and Shop with a Cop program, during which officers and cadets take underprivileged children on shopping sprees during the holidays. Tragic events like Fridays remind all of us of the tremendous sacrifice police officers make while striving to keep our communities safe. The flag here at the Capitol was flown half-staff Friday in Officer Nelson's honor. His family will hold services in Burbank to honor his life and his great services. Please join my colleague from Hanford and myself in mourning the tragic loss of Officer David Nelson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Fuller. Please bring the officer's name forward and express our condolences to the family. Senator Hall, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Madam President. Announcements.
Please.
Just want to advise the GO committee members that we'll be having a GO hearing upon it immediately upon adjournment, and it's our desire to run through the calendar expeditiously. So the sooner you get there, the sooner we'll be able to finish the people's business. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Hancock, for what purpose do you rise?
At the request of the author, please remove file item 125, AB 1081 by Quirk from the consent calendar for purposes of amendment.
File item 125 removed from consent, the desk will note. Any other motions, resolutions? If there is no other business, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, welcome back. We'll have a very productive week. I want to give a very special thank you to Senator Corazon de Montaña for bringing up the Granada Hills academic decathlon team. It is a wonderful inspiration. For those who don't know, Corazon de Montaña is Hertzberg in Spanish, you know. And your students give students inspiration to hope that they can make something of themselves, like myself and I'm sure others on this Senate floor. So they give a lot of hope and inspiration. With that, we will convene on this Senate floor come Thursday at 9 a.m. Thank you very much.
The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m. Thank you.